Jarrod Schulz's story, widely associated with the reality series Storage Wars, often gets told as a dramatic rise and fall narrative shaped by fame, addiction, redemption, and controversy. To many viewers, he appeared as part of a relatable underdog duo who turned discarded storage units into profit and entertainment. But beneath the televised personality was a far more complicated personal history marked by early legal trouble, difficult second chances, and relationships that carried both stability and strain. Over time, the contrast between his on-screen confidence and off-screen struggles became harder to ignore. What looked like a redemption arc gradually unraveled into a series of setbacks that reshaped his career, his relationships, and his public image. The story is not just about television fame, but about how personal choices, timing, and pressure can collide in ways that change a life permanently, especially when that life is lived in the public eye. Early trouble and a first encounter with the justice system before television fame. Jarrod's early adulthood was shaped by repeated legal issues that set the tone for what would follow. In his early 20s, he was arrested in connection with drug-related offenses, including possession of methamphetamine, which led to serious legal consequences. Although he initially received what seemed like a lenient sentence, the situation escalated quickly after further violations occurred soon after his release. A second arrest, involving additional drug possession and driving under the influence, convinced the court that earlier leniency had not worked. This time, he was sentenced to 16 months in state prison. The experience exposed him to a far harsher environment than local detention and forced him into close proximity with violent offenders. While difficult, that period also became a turning point, making him confront the long-term consequences of his behavior and consider the possibility of change, even if that change would prove complicated later. Life after prison and the attempt to start over after serving his sentence. Jarrod left prison with limited opportunities but a strong desire not to return. Like many people with a felony record, reintegration into normal life was not easy. Employment options were restricted, and rebuilding financial stability required accepting work that was far removed from any long-term career ambitions. He eventually found work in a carpet cleaning business, taking on a managerial role that offered stability, if not prestige. During this period, he began trying to reshape his identity as someone who could function within the boundaries of lawful work and responsibility. The transition was not seamless, but it represented a necessary step toward rebuilding trust in both personal and professional settings. Although his past continued to follow him, he began forming new routines and gradually stepping away from the environment that had previously led him into repeated trouble with the law. Meeting Brandy Pasante and building a family life. A major turning point in Jarrod's personal life came when he met Brandy Pasante, who would become his long-term partner and the mother of his children. Their relationship developed during a period when he was trying to stabilize his life, and she played a significant role in that process. Unlike others who may have judged his past, she accepted him while still recognizing the challenges he carried. Their bond strengthened quickly, and they eventually built a family together, welcoming 2 children in the early 2000s. For Jarrod, this relationship represented both emotional grounding and motivation to maintain stability. It also marked the beginning of a shared journey that would later extend into business and television. While not officially married, their partnership functioned as a long-term commitment, blending family responsibilities with shared ambitions, even as external pressures and financial instability began to test the strength of their relationship over time. Financial collapse and the search for a new direction. Before entering reality television, Jarrod attempted to build a legitimate career in the mortgage industry during a booming housing market. For a period, this business provided financial success and the sense that he had successfully moved beyond his troubled past. However, when the housing market collapsed in the mid-2000s, his business quickly failed. Like many others in the industry, he found himself suddenly unemployed and facing financial uncertainty while supporting a family. The collapse was more than just economic. It also challenged his sense of identity as someone who had rebuilt his life. In response, he began looking for alternative ways to generate income. A suggestion from a family connection introduced him to storage auctions, where abandoned storage units were sold for resale value. This unexpected opportunity became the foundation for a new direction that would ultimately lead him into the world of reality television and public recognition. The rise of Storage Wars and sudden fame. Jarrod and Brandy eventually became part of the cast of Storage Wars, a reality series centered on bidding for abandoned storage lockers and reselling them. Contents, their on-screen dynamic quickly made them stand out personalities. Known for their competitive energy and informal, relatable style, they were often portrayed as underdogs compared to more experienced or wealthier bidders. The show gained rapid popularity, drawing millions of viewers and becoming one of the network's most successful nonfiction programs. With fame came financial rewards, including significant earnings per episode and opportunities for public appearances. Their visibility also transformed their personal brand, turning them into recognizable figures in reality television culture. For Jarrod, the show represented validation after years of setbacks, offering both financial stability and public redemption. However, the pressures of fame, combined with business ambitions outside television, soon created new complications that would test both his career and personal relationships. Business expansion and the limits of reality TV success as fame grew. Jarrod and Brandy attempted to convert their television success into long-term business ventures. They opened thrift-style stores in California, aiming to create stable income streams beyond the show. While their visibility brought attention to these businesses, it did not guarantee financial success. A second location opened during the peak of their popularity, but it struggled to remain profitable and eventually closed. The original store also eventually shut down after years of operation. These setbacks highlighted the difference between television success and real-world business sustainability. Despite being recognizable public figures, they faced the same economic challenges as any small business owners. The closures represented another cycle of ambition followed by disappointment, echoing earlier experiences in Jarrod's life, where promising ventures did not survive external pressures or market conditions, leaving both financial strain and emotional frustration behind. Strain in the relationship and gradual separation over time. The relationship between Jarrod and Brandy began to deteriorate. While they continued to appear together on television, their personal connection had already begun to shift. By the late 2010s, they had reportedly separated, though they maintained a professional partnership for work-related reasons. Brandy later described herself as functioning largely as a single parent during the later stages of their relationship, indicating emotional distance and unresolved tension. Their separation marked the end of nearly 2 decades together, affecting not only their personal lives, but also their shared business and television presence. The breakdown of their relationship also impacted their family dynamic, as their children navigated the changes during their teenage years. Although the separation was not immediately public, its effects became visible through their reduced interaction on screen and the eventual confirmation that their romantic relationship had ended. Years earlier, the bar incident that changed public perception years after their separation, tensions between Jarrod and Brandy resurfaced publicly during an incident at a bar in Orange County. According to reports, an argument escalated into a confrontation involving shouting and alleged physical contact, leading to police involvement. Jarrod was later charged with a misdemeanor related to domestic violence after Brandy reported the incident. He denied the allegations, but the legal process and media attention intensified public scrutiny. This event marked a turning point in how he was perceived, shifting attention away from his television career and toward his personal conduct. For many viewers, it reinforced concerns about unresolved behavioral patterns from his earlier life. The incident also had professional consequences, as it placed his continued involvement in reality television under question and contributed to increasing distance between him and the show that had once defined his public identity. Career collapse and departure from television following the public controversy. Jarrod's role on Storage Wars effectively ended. Although some episodes featuring him had already been filmed, subsequent seasons moved forward without his presence. The network did not emphasize his departure, but his absence was noticeable, especially given his long-standing role on the show. Brandy remained part of the series, further highlighting the separation of their professional paths. For Jarrod, this marked the loss of a major platform that had defined his career for more than a decade. The show had provided income, visibility, and identity, and its absence left a significant gap. Without television exposure, his public relevance diminished rapidly. What remained was a reputation shaped more by controversy than by his earlier role as a fan-favorite personality, marking a dramatic shift from fame to near disappearance from mainstream entertainment. Life after fame and a return to local business after stepping away from television. Jarrod shifted his focus to running a bar in California. This business became his primary source of income and daily structure. While less publicized than his television career, it allowed him to maintain financial independence and remain active in a business environment. He also entered a new relationship with a coworker who supported him through his post-television life. Despite this stability, public attention continued to follow him, often centered on his past rather than his present activities. The contrast between his earlier fame and current quieter lifestyle highlighted how dramatically his public image had changed. While no longer in the spotlight, he remained a figure associated with both success and controversy, navigating life in a more private and limited setting compared to the peak years of his television career. Reflections on family, legacy, and personal choices today. Jarrod's story is often viewed through the lens of his earlier choices, career rise, and personal setbacks. His children have grown into adulthood, having experienced both the benefits and challenges of growing up in a public-facing family. The combination of fame, business failures, relationship breakdowns, and legal issues created a complex legacy that continues to shape perceptions of him. His life reflects a broader pattern seen in many reality television figures, where sudden fame amplifies both success and personal struggles. While he remains active in business, his public presence is minimal compared to his peak television years. The long arc of his life raises ongoing questions about change, accountability, and whether early life patterns can ever be fully left behind, especially when those patterns resurface under pressure. Conclusion: a story of reinvention and unresolved struggles. Jarrod Schulz's journey is ultimately a story about reinvention that never fully stabilizes. From early legal troubles to prison, from financial collapse to reality television fame, and finally to public controversy and career loss, his life has moved through repeated cycles of rise and fall. While he achieved moments of success that suggested lasting transformation, external pressures and personal challenges repeatedly disrupted that trajectory. His relationship with Brandy Pasante played a central role in both his stability and his later unraveling, connecting family life, business ventures, and public identity in deeply intertwined ways. In the end, his story reflects how difficult it can be to permanently escape earlier patterns, especially when life is lived under constant scrutiny. It remains a cautionary example of how fame can amplify both redemption and downfall, often at the same time.